Good morning. All right, so there is a lot of things going on this counter. I've been digging some stuff up because I've been wanting some tacos, but I haven't had everything to make the tacos. Specifically, getting the food processor out every time I want to grind up some beef chunks into smaller chunks is kind of a hassle. So I finally found I believe this is called an immersion blender, but it's a handheld blender and it works a little easier than a food processor, especially when it comes to cleaning it. So I did that. I had to find another skillet, and while I was looking for the immersion blender, I found this one. The only problem with this one is that the hand part and the handle part pretty much weigh the same. So it'll be a little tricky to use that on my stove. And then I had to find a recipe for tortilla shells. As many of you have probably figured out, I don't really buy a lot of bread, so I end up having to make it. So I am going to make some tortilla shells. And they're pretty easy to make. It's 2 cups of flour, a half teaspoon of salt, and 3/4 cups of water, preferably warm. And then 3 tablespoons of oil. They say olive oil. I'm going to use regular oil. And some recipes call for lard, so you can use lard too. But right now, I've got to get started on the tortilla shells. So I have already washed and scrubbed everything. So I'm going to put 3/4 cup of water into this pan, and I'm going to warm it up. And I don't know why this particular recipe doesn't call for warm water. Almost every other recipe I've ever read for this calls for hot water. So I need 6 ounces of water. I need it on ounces. 6.8. All right. And the hot water breaks down something in the flour. It makes it work a little better. So I'm going to put that on the stove. Now, I happen to have a tortilla press. You don't really need one. You could use a rolling pin, but I happen to have a press. This water's probably hot enough. It doesn't have to be real hot. It just has to be warm. And then I need 2 cups. It'd be 240 grams of flour. And I could probably use a little more since I put a little too much water in there. But 240 grams of flour. 245, so that's fine. All right. Needs a half teaspoon of salt, I think. Okay, so there's that. I need a half teaspoon of salt. Maybe like 2 grams or something. This is one of those recipes where you really, have to do salt. There we go. I put too much in my hand. So I'm going to mix this because the directions say to add the water, oil. I need 3 tablespoons of oil. So I have a little bit of canola oil. You can use lard, olive oil like it says. I'm using canola oil. You could probably use Crisco. I don't know that I would use Crisco. Crisco might turn this into a pie crust. Alright, so I need to do that. I need about 45 grams of this. Alright, and I am going to mix this up. It'll probably need more flour. I'm just guessing. This looks like a lot of water and oil. And the water was perfectly warm, so that's good. It doesn't take a lot of time to warm up the water. I think I want just a hair more flour in this. just a little sticky. Doggone, come on now. Trying to grip the bag low enough to tip it over with one hand is difficult. All right, because we don't want it doing this. Plus, if it's like this, it will stick on the tortilla thing, and it will not be pleasant. I'm also trying not to wash this pan. I want to put my hamburger in here straight away. It's being really tough. Well, there we go. I think I about got it. It's still being really sticky. It just doesn't want to come off my hand. It's not going to be done until it comes off my hand. All right, I think I almost got it. All right, that is pretty perfect. Unfortunately, my skillet is still kind of a pain in the butt, so I'm not sure. Probably going to have to wash it. Boy, I really don't want to. It just takes so much time to wash. All right, this is perfect. Exactly what I want. So I need to put some flour down here, down there, and put this dough right here. This, unfortunately, I'm going to have to wash because I got to put hamburger in it. So if you haven't guessed by now, I have not made homemade tortilla shells in a very, very long time. It's probably been a couple of years. I was buying them, but I can't justify paying $2 or $3 or whatever for tortilla shells. I just think it's high. I think they should be under $1. You know, and the premiums should be like $1.50. So I'm going to knead this just a little bit on the table. Okay, I'm really liking that. All right, so that's done. I'm going to have to measure it and portion it using the scale. I think it's 1.3 ounces makes a tortilla. It says this makes 8 tortillas. So actually, let's look. Okay, so let's take a look at how much dough is actually in there. Because it says it should make 8. And I need ounces. It says it should make 8 tortillas. So how much is here? 19 ounces. Boy, that does not divide nicely. Why does no dough recipe divide nicely? 19 divided by 8. So I gotta do some math because 19 does not divide by 8 very nicely. Okay, so it would be 2.37 ounces is what that would be. So I'll see what 2.3 ounces is. I think that would be too big. But this bag of flour can go back in the fridge. My pan is ready, I think. All right, that was interesting. I heard a beep, and actually it was my microphone telling me that it was going out of battery. So you probably lost some words, but I went to go see how many ounces I would need to make 8 tortillas, and it's 2.37 ounces. So let's see what that is. Let's turn you this way. 2.3 ounces. That's 2.3 ounces, huh? Well, let's see what it does. All right, so that is 2.3 ounces. I'm doing this while I wait for my skillet to heat up so I can check it one more time. I decided I needed to do this at the same time, otherwise I was going to be in here all night. 4.2, because 3.4. Because if I had to make these in that skillet before I cooked the hamburger, I'm never getting dinner. This is like something I would have had to have done yesterday. I think the skillet might be done. I can add the hamburger to it. Okay, one more time. This is why I didn't want to wash the skillet. I've spent 30 minutes washing that skillet again. And actually, that camera's doing a good job because you can kind of see what I'm doing on the lower table, and you can see what I'm doing on the scale. That's 1.7, 1.9, 2.1, 2.1, 2.2, 2.3. And if you're thinking, Stacey, this looks like an awful lot like how you made those rolls. Yeah, it's pretty similar. Okay. 2.2. 2.2. 2.3. And you're supposed to let this dough sit for 5 minutes. I'm sure it has. 2.9. 2.4. 2.3. The reason I'm measuring this is so that they are all the same size. 2.6. 2.3. Here. All right, so the battery just died. They don't really think this stuff through. The battery just died, and I had to take the camera off the stand, and then I had to pull the piece holding the camera onto the stand off the camera in order to change out the battery. Somebody did not think that through. I am glad it came with 2 batteries so that I could immediately start filming. I'm not going to lose, this last half of the video due to not having a battery, which is good. But that was kind of frustrating. All right, so I really think the pan is clean this time. Oh! Or is that just... I thought I saw a bit of dough on the bottom of the pan. I don't think I did. I think it's just that lime water. Okay, like 45 minutes later, the pan is clean again. So this is still going to be tacos, and my there it is. I put some water in the skillet. I need some hammer. I got some from the soup pantry the other day. So let me find it. I have 2 gallons of cabbage in the freezer. freezer. I really just thought about it. Whoops. Accidentally left my cabbage out. I have 2 gallons of cabbage in the freezer. I don't have a lot of hamburger in the freezer. That's just was. I gotta figure out a way to get more hamburger. Because the 1 pound I can get from the food pantry isn't really doing it. And then I just bought some, so I've got a pound in there that I just bought, but that still just doesn't seem like enough. I don't know what I'm going to do about that. All right. But we're going to start with this food pantry hamburger. Oh no. Oh, boy, they didn't do a very good job wrapping that. The plastic came off in pieces. I think it's all right though. Hamburger looks good. Maybe a little freezer burnt. Okay, so I'm going to let that hamburger cook and continue doing this. All right, so let's keep doing the dough. Gosh, I wish that would stay on for a little bit longer. 2.1, 2. So I need just a hair more. 2.3. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. So technically there should only be one left. I'm looking for 2.3. And we have this bit left. It probably isn't going to do anything. All right, so this made 8 tortilla shells. And if you're wondering, well, what did I buy of this? The salt and the water, the flour and the oil. Well, this particular oil I bought, but I have an oil in there from the food pantry. So the food pantry does supply me with oil once a month. All right, so let's do this. We're going to get I need to move this so you can see what I'm doing. See if I can get a good thing of it. But this is a tortilla press. These work the best with like corn tortillas, but they also work for flour tortillas. And I'm going to go ahead and oil this. I'm going to put some oil on here, wash my hands, and then we'll get to making these tortillas. Yep, there was a reason I wanted to do it this way, so I could make these tortillas while the hamburger cooks. And these will still be done well before the hamburger, but at least the hamburger is started. So we want to do this. This. I didn't pay very much for this at the time. I think it was only $14 or $15. I would be surprised if it was more than 20 at the time that I bought it, but I've had this for a couple of years. Now, the reason I like tortilla presses is because you just do this. And then you press it down. And your tortilla, does like that. We need to do that again. Wasn't quite expecting that. All right, try that again. See if I can get it a little more centered, or maybe a little more like that. All right, put it in there, and you squish it down. And then you open it up. And if it does that, you do it again. You can see it coming out the side. All right, this might have worked. Yep, there we go. It's not supposed to be so thin that it starts falling apart. Obviously, it's been a while since I've used this thing. Well, I don't know that the oil method is really working for me. So let's try a different method. It's been a while since I've used this thing. I can't remember whether I used oil or flour. Let's try the flour method. Put it in the middle. And press it out. Well, I don't see any stuff coming up now. Okay, here we go. There we go. Okay, flour method. This is still really small. All right, so the flour method is definitely the way we want to do it. All right, I think this is good. All right, so I think 2.3 ounces was the right call. So these are going to be more like street tortilla size. But I don't have a very big skillet to do these in anyway. Shrinking flour can be a problem with these. That's why these presses work better with corn tortillas. They're less likely to shrink back. Almost smashed my hand. That looks good. Yeah, these are going to be street tortilla size, unfortunately. But it's real easy to use the tortilla press once you've got it clean and ready to go. Well, shoot. Check that out. Pieces of the tortilla press are getting into the tortillas. Well, shoot. I can't do that. Wow, that's frustrating. Well, that really sucks. I can't believe that happened. I'm going to have to clean this up and do the last three on a plate. If I can find my plate by hand. This might actually be trash. All right, I did not anticipate that problem. It's a good thing I didn't get through all 8 of them. I'll still have enough for dinner tonight, but that sucked. All right, where's my plate? My plate is very, 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 very dirty from breakfast, so this really sucks. All right, I have washed a plate. I will do the last 3 on a plate. That's not good. That coating should not be coming off. Okay, so that is not good. I'm going to move this up to the top. At least I didn't get through all 8 of them before I noticed the problem. But I only have 3 left, which I'm not terribly sure if that's going to get me through dinner or not. Flour does not want to come out of the bag. Alrighty, well, let's try and press them out by hand then. It is possible to do that. It's just frustrating. Well, they're a little bit bigger as I press it out by hand. Interesting. that looks better. I'm going to put it in this bowl. At least I still have 3 left. This is enough for tonight's dinner, but I won't have any extra. Well, it looks like pressing it out by hand is faster, and it results in bigger shells. These aren't going to be very big to begin with, but alright, so these are good enough. I'll have 3 for tonight's dinner, and that'll be it. It looks a lot later than that. The weather has been kind of awful all day. It's not been as bad as they predicted, but it's still been pretty rainy and windy. Some places got hit a lot worse. I don't want to use my reusable paper towels on something like this. Well, I hope the taco filling works out better than the tortilla shells. I need to move you. It can be hard to get flour off of a surface. So I'm going to do this. And actually, when I went to clean it to do this, there was still flour particles on it from when I did it had to be the hamburger buns. Well, there's some thunder. Supposedly, this is all supposed to end by 4 o'clock. It's about an hour and 20 minutes from now. We'll see. All right, I got my plate clean again. I am going to fry these tortillas in this pan that I've got. Let's see if I can get this skillet lit, not skillet, but burner. I barely ever use any other burner than the one you see me always use. And mostly it's because I've had some incidences with these burners that aren't real great. Like the one I just lit, and I will show it to you. One time this burner lit under the burner. So, not good. And there's still like no light over here. So, and I don't have a way to get you any light. So, alright. About the best I can do is set you up right here. But I'm going to be using this skillet, and I'm going to put some, I think I'll just put oil in it. I'm not feeling very creative at the moment. It's a non-stick pan, so it won't take too much oil, but when you do these, you just fry them just a little bit on each side, like 1 or 2 minutes on each side. It's real quick. I don't think my tortilla shell is turning out. It doesn't look right. But then again, there's no light over by the stove, so it's hard for me to see. There's thunder and lightning going on, so another storm's about to hit. Alright, so here is the first tortilla shell. Alright, this hamburger is done. I'm waiting on another tortilla shell. So this hamburger is done. I need to go ahead and drain this and chop it up. Alright, so we want to try and get this into this. Alright, that's good enough. The hamburger's done. Need to taste it and make sure it's all right. Then I can start adding spices and stuff to it. All right, so here is the second taco. I will show it to you here in a minute. All right, let's see what this tastes like. It looks good. And I'll just tell you right now, we're still going on the the microphones that are in the camera, which suck, and there's nothing I can do about it. The main camera thing, or the main thing that makes the microphone work, is out of battery. I think this is actually fine. Yeah, that tastes fine. Okay, so now I've got to add some things to this. So I want to add some petite diced gold tomatoes to this. And these have green chilies in them, which is another reason I want to add them in. And then I want to add the spices. And then I am going to use the immersion blender to make this all much, much smaller. Actually, I just thought of something. I have to let this cook for a minute because I got to put some onions in it, and the onions are frozen. So it's going to have to go back on the stove. And this is fine, so I'm just going to bump it in there. And a whole bunch of spices go in this. We'll need a little pepper, or a lot of pepper. Pepper. This is done. All right, so we got 3 tortilla shells out of that. I don't know what happened to my tortilla press, but so we want some garlic. Oh, before I get too far into this, I want some onions, fresh onions. And this is why it kind of has to go back on the stove. The onions are frozen. So we want some onions in there. And then I want some cayenne pepper. Once again, always spice to the way you like it. I like my stuff spicy. So there's some cayenne pepper. I've got some chili powder, which is essential. I love chili powder. Chili powder. Red pepper flakes. Cumin is the secret ingredient, so there's a little cumin in there. My paprika hasn't made an appearance in a while because it was behind something, and some paprika. Okay, so I'm going to let this cook on the stove because the onions need to thaw. All right, so once the onions thaw, I will get the immersion blender and make everything smaller, and then I'll cook it again. It's too bad I can't show you the stove because the lighting is so bad. All right, so the only thing I can do is let the food cook. There's not much to look at because it's so dark over here. But anyway, I'm going to let that cook, and I'll be back in a bit. All right, so I guess this view isn't very entertaining. I am going to see how far this immersion blender cord goes. I spent some time wiping this off. Last time I was using it, I think it got into whatever I was doing. Well, let's see how far it goes. This is the only outlet I have, so I think it is just barely not gonna do it, maybe? I don't know. Just barely. I think it is just barely gonna reach. It is, immersion blender is right there. I think it is just barely gonna reach. I do have to say, for a handheld appliance, that blender really does have a very generous cord. So let's take this off. Whoops. Gosh darn it. I have a problem with finding spots for everything. Clean spots specifically. All right, so we're going to try and use this immersion blender to make this smaller. All right, so we're going to hope that this reaches because I don't have another way to do it. And we're going to see if it'll work. There it is. That's all there is to it. The immersion blender makes this a whole lot faster and easier because all I have to clean is this little piece right here. When I do the gosh darn it, the food processor, I have to clean like 4,000 things. Now, the only downside is the immersion blender does leave a few chunks in, and you can see them, but it's all right because that'll give it texture. But it's a whole lot easier to use than the food processor. Of course, it makes a bit of a mess. I gotta clean up all this. Well, shoot. The only problem with immersion blenders is they spray everywhere. I already had to wash that because it had flour on it. Now it's got like taco on it. So this is looking phenomenal. This is exactly what I like to see as far as the consistency of taco meat. Now there's a few onion chunks in here. That's okay. I just strongly dislike big chunks of meat in my taco. So there we go. I'm going to let that cook for a while. Simmer, really. I should probably taste it. It needs more. I think it needs more cooling. All right, all it needs to do is simmer. I've got great things to go in it, though. I've got some ranch dressing. So I've got some ranch dressing. I've got some jalapenos. And I've got some salsa that I have had forever. So here's the salsa. And I like hot salsa, obviously. I looked at the sour cream the other day and decided it was too expensive. But I usually have a container of ranch dressing. And ranch dressing is a little more versatile than sour cream. Been trying to keep the door open in the front room because it's just so dark. But I had to close it. I've used 2 towels. The wind blows in from the direction of the front door. So, all right, it is March 15th. And I've soaked 2 towels trying to keep the front door open. So it's just so dark. I hate that. Okay. These both have buttons. So that popped. Yep, looks good. Looks good. That popped. Looks good. Looks good. All right, so this is ready, I think. The tortillas really turned out better than I thought they would. I just wish I could have made all of them. So let's start with this one. going to put a little bit of meat on the tortilla. Then I need some jalapenos. Oh, I have cheese. I forgot cheese. Quesadilla cheese. Alright. I don't remember when I bought this. I've got some quesadilla cheese. Looks like I ate all the other cheese. Actually, I'd have a lot of cheese if I could have got the local grocery to give me some stinking cheese. When I went out there the other day, they had pre-sliced a bunch of cheese. So they kept handing me these 0.35 of a pound packages. After I got 2 of them, I was just like, I give up. They are not going to be handing me any cheese today. And I'm sure it's because somebody got on them for not using the pre-sliced cheese. But when I go in there for cheese, I want to get, a couple of pounds of it. Not 0.35 of a pound. And a little ranch dressing. And we'll see how it tastes. So this is how I like my tacos. I do like sour cream and guacamole when I can afford it, but I haven't been able to afford that stuff in quite a while. So, of course, this is done American style. The fillings do not fit into the container. It's how we do everything. We have no idea why we're overweight. Yeah, that's really, really good. All right. So that is super excellent, folks. So I'm going to eat dinner. And I hope you have a wonderful dinner tonight. And as always, if you liked this video, please like and subscribe, and I will talk to you later.